Capricorn, welcome back. Welcome. If this is your first time visiting, this is Crow Indigo Intuitive Tarot, and this is the January 2020, unbelievable as that sounds to my ears, the January monthly reading for Capricorn. We're going to focus our readings today on what 2020 wants to bring to you. What needs to be left behind now that we've moved into a new year, a new decade, depending on how you interpret decade, right? And just generally, how can we best support ourselves in the journey ahead of us this year? So let's take a look at that using a variety of decks. I'm really liking this particular deck I've been using a lot lately, in the This Might Hurt deck. I don't know, it's resonating with me fairly well. So we'll start there, Capricorn. Let's just ask Spirit to give us a little guidance for January for Capricorn regarding the question of what this year wants to give you. And I'm just going to put those up here for now. What does this year want to give you? And what can you leave behind now? What doesn't need to come with you into 2020? That'll go here. And lastly, what can we anticipate coming our way in the year ahead that, could be a gift, could be a challenge? What is ahead for us, Capricorn, as we're moving toward this new year, into this new year? I think that was spinning there. All right, so I think that's how we'll do 433. That seems good. We'll do some clarifiers. I think we'll pull some oracle cards as well. Sort of drawn to the dragon oracle cards today, and the spirit animal deck that I haven't used in a while. So we'll get to those in a minute. So let's look at what gifts 2020 wants to give to you, Capricorn. We have the Knight of Wands here, bringing some really inspired energy to your life. The Ace of Cups in reverse, the Star in reverse, and the Hanged Man in reverse. Again, I'm being called to go with the more intuitive interpretations lately. So there may be some standard interpretation involved here, but the way I'm bringing this message forward may not align with, for those of you that are already familiar with tarot, with Rider-Waite standard definitions here. What do you need to leave behind? I'm getting a lot of reversals. I wonder if I had the deck upside down. We need to leave behind now that we're moving into a new year. And what is it that lies ahead? So I'm drawn instantly to the fact that this, this warm energy that's coming off of the Knight of Wands, the Ace of Wands, there's some passionate engagement coming for you this year, in the years ahead even. There's a sense here, I'm sensing that this year is promising to bring you a new passionate engagement. That could be with a person, could be with a project, something that really lights you up inside. You're moving away from a relationship. There's some relationship that is, previously it seemed like it had a lot of potential for you, but you're starting to realize it's just not the right fit. It's not quite where you're meant to be. There's a bit of struggle around that. You had a lot of hope for this relationship that you're moving away from, Capricorn. But it just didn't work in the end. And you're not going to suspend yourself waiting any longer for it to turn around, for this person to somehow change into the person that you want them to be, that you thought they were. I'm not sensing that this is like a lot of negativity or anger here. It just hasn't worked. And so it may have just been someone that you dated for a little while. If it was someone that you were much more close with, it seems to be more of a mutual split. Although that doesn't necessarily mean both of you have decided now is a good time to end. I think you both realize inside that this isn't where either of you is meant to be. Your perspective is shifting, and that's leading to an end here. So that is a gift, right? We were asking, what is the gift that 2020 wants to give you? You may not have ended this relationship yet, but you may be gifted with a perspective which helps you to see that this isn't the one, or this isn't the long term, this isn't where you're meant to be. If it's not a romantic relationship we're talking about, it could be some other connection that plays a pretty big part in your day-to-day, with a friend, maybe someone that you thought was a friend. Maybe you're realizing you don't have quite as much in common as you thought you did, or you don't have the same perspective on key issues. It could be a family member. This has an energy around it that perhaps you tried sharing an apartment with a sibling and that just didn't work out, or maybe you're realizing, maybe you're a younger person and you're reaching an age of maturity where you can start making your own decisions, and you're realizing you don't want to stay and have the life that your parents have. You want to try to go have a different life. And that's not judgmental, it's just different. It's not the right fit for you in whatever context this is coming up for you. It's a gift that you have this perspective now, and that you can go and seek something that is a better fit. So what are you leaving behind now that we're moving into a new year? I think you're leaving behind any doubt you have about your ability to do good work. That's the sense I get here, is that you may have had some struggles with confidence about your ability to do your job. But that's going to be ending. You're starting to feel more sure of yourself and your abilities. I think that there is also, perhaps some, I don't know how to say this. Maybe the way you have communicated with people has been, I don't want to criticize you, but maybe it's been a little sharp. Maybe it hasn't been very compassionate. I feel like whatever is shifting now in you, you're starting to be a little kinder to the people around you, which is great. I think that that's always a positive thing if you're able to communicate with kindness. And maybe you've isolated yourself a bit because you had to sort out some things. Could be related to figuring out this relationship issue. But I think you're moving out of that solitary space where you were kind of not hibernating, but sort of isolating yourself somewhat socially so that you could think things through. You just needed a little space to make sense of things. And I think now you're able to leave that phase of your life behind, at least for now. So what's lying ahead? We have a real mission coming into view here for me. You're working towards something, and a very key component of that project that you're working on has to do with your truth, something that means a great deal to you, something that you're very clear on mentally, emotionally. You know what's right, is what this card is saying to me. And you're moving very swiftly in the direction of aligning your life with your truth. You are seeing some progress in your efforts as we move forward. Whatever you're working on, your the growth of your soul, essentially, or your physical comfort, is another interpretation there. Just starting to feel very much right is the way I'm sensing it. Just feeling right in your space, in your body, in the place you are, in the way you spend your time, in who you spend your time with, in the way you do your work. All of it's starting to gel. You're starting to see where you take ownership of your life and your preferences, and you take steps to get where you want to be, in the context you want to be, with the people you want to be. You feel better. You feel like it's just the right fit. And I see you moving very much in that direction. Again, we have this Ace of Wands, a passionate new engagement for you, really starting to blossom in your surroundings. And I think that's really a pretty consistent message across these three cards for me, what I'm sensing here. It seems like this is a very good turn of the wheel for you. You are getting really clear on what matters to you and where you want to go with your life. And you're starting to take some steps to get you there. So that's pretty great, actually. I think I will just do a little bit of clarifying. I don't think there's too much that we need to clarify. Perhaps we can just ask for a little clarification around this relationship that is phasing out, the gift of perception, the gift of being able to see clearly what works for you and what doesn't, and that sort of gentle separation from a connection that is occurring for you, that is a gift. So let's see what we have here. You are choosing, you have a lot of options. You have a lot of options, and you're choosing to move away from, it seems, this is sort of telling me that it's not that someone is breaking up with you or someone is forcing you out of their life. This is really your choice happening here. And you're electing not to be petty about it, not to be boastful or to treat it like something that you win and someone else loses, but rather to just consider your options. And this relationship is ending because your perspective has changed on what would be the best path forward for you. You do have a hope of finding a soulmate, and you just know without any animosity or anger or spite that where you're at isn't where you're meant to be. And so when I say a soulmate, that could be a lover, it could be a friend. We have many soul connections in this world, and all of them have great meaning for us, but they're in different contexts, right? So you just feel like you haven't got that connection where you are, whether it's living with family or with a good friend or with a partner, romantic partner. You want that. You're seeking that. And taking the steps to remove yourself from a situation that isn't the right one, isn't the one you desire, helps you move toward that, I think. Let's look at what you are leaving behind, just to see if there's any further clarifications there with what needs to be left behind. The lack of self-confidence, the kind of sharp communications, the isolation that you've put yourself in. It seems like there is here just a natural completion of a cycle that's not quite done yet. So, as you're leaving these things behind, it might not be a completely smooth road. You may stumble a bit. You may still be a little bit cutting in your communications, a little bit less sensitive than would be best when you're communicating your opinions. But you're working on it. I think you're moving in that direction. Just be kind to yourself as well, because you've been isolated from heavy social interaction for some time, and it can take a little while to reacclimate. You don't want to, like the divers that come up too quickly get the bends. You don't want that kind of happening. It can happen that way when you're not social and then you go out and you're social again. Let's see if we have any clarifiers around what is lying ahead for you this year and into the future. This transition into the life you dream of and what you want to make of it. So it doesn't look like it will always be smooth, right? There may be a few bumps in the road, same as here. But you've got the World and the Wheel of Fortune. So that tells me that you're definitely on the way to making changes, positive changes, shifts, completing a cycle of your life and moving into a new one. It's a little bit delayed. It looks like maybe there's a bit of healing that needs to happen for you, so that you can really love yourself. Because I think part of this being really sharp with other people is because you are criticizing yourself and you assume others would criticize you, and then it's a bit of a defensive thing for you to be sharp with them before they can say something that hurts your feelings. That comes out of this lack of confidence in who you are, and all of the changes you're making are only going to grow your confidence. So that will be healing for you, and then I think you'll see we'll get to a place where the World and the Wheel of Fortune energies are not held back. They're able to release. I'm going to pull a Dragon Oracle card for you. Get a little bit of more guidance here. I'll read from the book, and then I'll pull one of the wild animal cards as well. And we'll see what last bits of guidance we have for you for January, Capricorn. You have Archangel Gabriel's dragon, brings purification. Self-discipline will speed ascension and bring joy. You can carry Archangel Gabriel's diamond. So what I'm seeing there is really an echo of what we've been talking about. You're making decisions that are right for you. You're shifting your life. You're making choices to move your life in the direction that's going to be most fulfilling for you, and you are getting there. It's a little bit slow. And what this card is telling us is that if you're able to be disciplined, if you've made a choice to change a behavior, and you can make that choice every day consistently, then your progress will be quicker if you're able to keep that discipline. I want to pull one of these. Wild unknown animal cards. You have the hyena. Let me look him up in the book. Him, her, I suppose. Hyena. Fire. It's a fire type animal. This one, if I can find it. Keep skipping over it. There it is. So this energy represents humor, wit, and sarcasm. It's an interesting combination. Hyena personality is a jokester and a crowd pleaser, but below the surface there are unfulfilled dreams to be realized. When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? What would happen if you took your goals seriously? Really lines up with, you making choices that align well with the way you want your life to be. I think it relates a lot to this reverse Queen of Swords energy of being a bit cutting in your communications with others. Definitely relates to your truth here in the Knight of Swords. Your truth. Are you being Are you deflecting? Are you deferring acknowledgement of your truth by using humor, self-deprecating humor, or slightly cruel humor directed at other people? And the question, what would happen if you took your goals seriously? Just to kind of meditate on that question. And I think it will get you to where you're going sooner if you're able to really think about what your goals are and what would happen if you really invested in them this year. It is it's also an invitation to sort of balance yourself in sobriety, and by that I don't necessarily just mean tempering your alcohol consumption, but wherever you are going to excess, to investigate and explore that and see what you're running away from. Because generally when we go to excess with any activity, drinking or doing drugs, eating too much, exercising too much, shopping too much, anything too much, right? It feels like it's become ritualistic. It's generally a reason, there's a reason underlying that. There's something you're afraid of, there's something you're trying to get away from, trying to numb yourself to. So to think about that, if you can make progress in that area, it really opens up your entire world. It gains you confidence. It gives you a solid footing for moving forward to this great stuff that's waiting for you. It's a pretty great way to start your year, I think, Capricorn. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. It's always an honor. I wish you a most wonderful January, a fantastic 2020. Thank you for the likes, shares, and subscribes, because I really do enjoy doing these readings for you, and your support of the channel is much appreciated. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Thank you again for being here, and we'll see you next month. Blessings.